Hello, this is Shmuel Moshe, and you are listening to the Weekly Parashahcast, the weekly Torah portion podcast where I read the weekly Torah portion, then provide my own interpretation of what I think it all means. This week's weekly Torah portion is Nitzavim-Vayelech, falling on the 25th of Elul, 5784, September 28th, 2024. As always, I remind everybody I'm not a professional Torah scholar, just somebody who wanted to study the Torah. You could follow along in English on Chabad.org. We'll go ahead and begin with the first portion on chapter 29, verse 9 of Devarim. You are all standing this day before the Lord your God, the leaders of your tribes, your elders and your officers, every man of Israel. Your young children, your women, and your convert who is within your camp, both your woodcutters and your water drawers, that you may enter the covenant of the Lord your God, and his oath, which the Lord your God is making with you this day, in order to establish you this day as his people, and that he will be your God, as he spoke to you, and as he swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob. But not only with you am I making this covenant and this oath, but with those standing here with us today before the Lord our God, and also with those who are not here with us this day. For you know how we dwelled in the land of Egypt, and how we passed among the nations through which you passed. And you saw their abominations and their repugnant idols of wood and stone, silver and gold, which were with them. Perhaps there is among you a man, woman, family, or tribe whose heart strays this day from the Lord our God, to go and worship the deities of those nations. Perhaps there is among you a root that produces hemlock and wormwood. And it will be when he, such a person, hears the words of this oath, that he will bless himself in his heart, saying, I will have peace even if I follow my heart's desires, in order to add the punishment for the unintentional sins of this man to that of his intentional sins. The Lord will not be willing to forgive him. Rather, then, the Lord's fury and his zeal will fume against that man, and the entire curse written in this book will rest upon him, and the Lord will obliterate his name from beneath the heavens. And the Lord will separate him for evil out of all the tribes of Israel, according to all the curses of the covenant written in this Torah scroll. And a later generation, your descendants, who will rise after you along with the foreigner who comes from a distant land, will say, upon seeing the plagues of that land and the diseases with which the Lord struck it, sulfur and salt have burned up its entire land. It cannot be sown, nor can it grow anything, not even any grass will sprout upon it. It is like the overturning of Sodom, Gomorrah, Admah, and Zeboim, which the Lord overturned in his fury and his rage. And all the nations will say, Why did the Lord do so to this land? What is the reason for this great rage of fury? Then they will say, It is because they abandoned the covenant of the Lord, God of their fathers, the covenant which he made with them when he took them out of the land of Egypt. For they went and served other deities, prostrating themselves to them deities which they had not known, and which he had not apportioned to them. And the Lord's fury raged against that land, bringing upon it the entire curse written in this book. And the Lord uprooted them from upon their land with fury, anger, and great wrath, and he cast them to another land as it is this day. The hidden things belong to the Lord our God, but the revealed things apply to us and to our children forever, that we must fulfill all the words of this Torah. Thus concludes the first portion. So, here we have it. Once again, another reminder from Moses, or at least an affirmation of all that has been covered so far. A reminder, a warning that, remember, listen to God, or once again, things will go wrong. But keep in mind that even those among you here and those not here are included in this oath. So this refers to future generations as well as people who are in exile. So it's essentially everybody, women, children, converts, and those not here presently. They may enter the covenant and make this oath with the Lord, but keep in mind that there are going to be some who stray. They already have that evil inclination in them. And a specific example here, it talks about a person who blesses himself in his heart, saying, I will have peace, even if I follow my heart's desires. So essentially, what's happening here is it's like denial, right? So they know it's wrong, and they're saying, well, it's okay if I do it. If that is the case, then they're not going to only receive the punishment for the sin, but also for the unintentional sin. It's going to be a double sin. So they're going to have intentional and unintentional double whammy all the curses of the Torah will fall upon them, and God will not forgive him, and there will be heavy, heavy, dire consequences. So with that being said, another reminder about the just total annihilation that will follow. We hear about Sodom and Gomorrah and so on. The land will be just completely torn asunder, and people who come across it will say, what happened to this land? And the response is simply going to be that the people that made the covenant with God betrayed that covenant. They did not honor it, and now God has gotten his revenge. And so there you have it. Definitely don't lose sight of this. Don't go out there worshiping other deities and so on. Otherwise, this is what will happen. Now moving on to the last verse here, it says, the hidden things belong to the Lord, but the revealed things apply to us and to our children forever, that we must fulfill all the words of this Torah. So in other words, hidden things are as of yet revealed truths, and those belong to the Lord still. God knows all the hidden things, but the revealed things are what have been revealed to Moses and the people here. The Torah is the guidebook, so if you want to follow these revealed things, you must honor the Torah. This is unequivocally the case. On to the second portion, chapter 30, verse 1. Devarim. And it will be, when all these things come upon you, the blessing and the curse which I have set before you, that you will consider in your heart, among all the nations where the Lord your God has banished you, and you will return to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, and you will listen to his voice according to all that I am commanding you this day, you and your children. Then the Lord your God will bring back your exiles, and he will have mercy upon you. He will once again gather you from all the nations where the Lord your God had dispersed you. Even if your exiles are at the end of the heavens, the Lord your God will gather you from there, and he will take you from there. And the Lord your God will bring you to the land which your forefathers possessed, and you too will take possession of it. And he will do good to you, and he will make you more numerous than your forefathers. And the Lord your God will circumcise your heart and the heart of your offspring, so that you may love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul for the sake of your life. All right, so put simply, good news. All these things come upon you. The blessing and the curse, it's going to be that when you return to God, when you repent, teshuvah, right, when you return to the path of God, you're going to return to the Holy Land, and he will bring you and all your exiles back. So those of you who are exiled out into the middle of nowhere, you will be returned to the land of your forefathers. You will be made numerous once again, and your heart will be circumcised in such a way that you have complete and total love for God that goes on from you and to your children. Short portion, straight to the point. Now on to the third portion, chapter 30, verse 7 of Devarim. And the Lord your God will place all these curses upon your enemies and upon your adversaries who pursued you, and you will return and listen to the voice of the Lord, and fulfill all his commandments, which I command you this day. And the Lord your God will make you abundant for good in all the work of your hands, in the fruit of your womb, in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your soil. For the Lord will once again rejoice over you for good, as he rejoiced over your forefathers. When you obey the Lord your God to observe his commandments and his statutes written in this Torah scroll, and when you return to the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, for this commandment which I command you this day is not concealed from you, nor is it far away. It is not in heaven that you should say, who will go up to heaven for us and fetch it for us, to tell it to us, so that we can fulfill it? Nor is it beyond the sea that you should say, who will cross the other side of the sea for us and fetch it for us, to tell it to us, so that we can fulfill it? Rather, this thing is very close to you. It is in your mouth and in your heart, so that you can fulfill it. Thus concludes the third portion. So once again, getting straight to the point here, a reminder that once the good things follow because you've done the right thing, you've managed to successfully get yourself back on track and return to the land, all the curses that were plaguing you will now go upon your enemies. And this is really a good reminder for those who want to be enemies, is that you don't want to welcome this upon yourself. Neutrality is a better option, if not working alongside. But nonetheless, the bad stuff that's going to be happening to those who disobey, that will now bounce off and go to the enemies of the devout and righteous of the people of Israel. So it's a very serious situation. If you follow the commandments, you will not only be blessed, but your enemies will be cursed. If you don't follow the commandments, you will be cursed, and your enemies will reap the benefits of your curse. So you don't want that to happen. Instead, you need to follow the rules, and then also making it clear by giving you a Torah scroll. It's now, nobody can say, well, where am I supposed to get this information from? It's not up in heaven, so they can't be like, well, who's going to go to heaven and get it? Who's going to go across the ocean and get it? There's no need to do that. It says here, it is in your mouth and in your heart. The Torah is here. You don't need these extra sources. You have all you need right here now. So there's no excuse. You have the information. On to the fourth portion, chapter 30, verse 15, Devarim. Behold, I have set before you today life and good, and death and evil. Inasmuch as I command you this day to love the Lord your God, to walk in his ways, and to observe his commandments, his statutes, and his ordinances, so that you will live and increase, and the Lord your God will bless you in the land to which you are coming to take possession of it. But if your heart deviates and you do not listen, and you will be drawn astray, and you will prostrate yourself to other deities and serve them, I declare to you this day that you will surely perish, and that you will not live long days on the land to which you are crossing the Jordan, to come and take possession thereof. This day I call upon the heaven and the earth as witnesses that I have warned you. I have set before you life and death, this blessing and the curse. You shall choose life, so that you and your offspring will live, to love the Lord your God, and to listen to his voice, and to cleave to him, for that is your life and the length of your days, to dwell in the land which the Lord swore to your forefathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Jacob, to give to them. Chapter 31, verse 1, Devarim. And Moses went, and he spoke the following words to all Israel. He said to them, Today I am 120 years old. I can no longer go or come. And the Lord said to me, You shall not cross this Jordan. The Lord your God, he will cross before you. He will destroy these nations from before you, so that you will possess them. Joshua, he will cross before you, as the Lord has spoken. And the Lord will do to them as he did to the Amorite kings, Sihon and Og, and to their land, all of which he destroyed. And when the Lord delivers them before you, you shall do to them according to all the commandments that I have commanded you. Be strong and courageous, neither fear nor be dismayed of them. For the Lord your God, he is the one who goes with you. He will neither fail you nor forsake you. End of the fourth portion. So here we have, once again, Moses reminding everybody, you've been given a choice now. I'm showing you the good and the evil. It's up to you to decide what you're going to follow, but I'm telling you, you should choose the good. Life or death, choose life. You will have a wonderful life so long as you follow these rules. Again, I cannot stress this enough, folks. Follow the rules, please. Choose the better choice. Otherwise, you will perish. You have been warned. There is nothing more I can do in this matter. Do what you gotta do. Love the Lord your God, listen to his voice, and cleave to him. Boom. That's all you need to do. Then in the next chapter, Moses comes forth and tells everybody the dark, harrowing news. He's 120 years old, and in his old age, he has reached the end of his life. He will not join them as he crosses the Jordan, or as they cross the Jordan. He will be staying behind. But don't worry. You will have God with you. You will be led by Joshua. Those kings that we defeated before, they shall continue to be defeated over the Jordan. Be strong, do not fear, you walk with God. Now on to the fifth portion, chapter 31, verse 7. And Moses called Joshua and said to him in the presence of all Israel, Be strong and courageous, for you shall come with this people to the land which the Lord swore to their forefathers to give them, and you shall apportion it to them as an inheritance. The Lord, he is the one who goes before you. He will be with you. He will neither fail you nor forsake you. Do not fear, and do not be dismayed. Then Moses wrote this Torah and gave it to the priests, the descendants of Levi, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and to all of the elders of Israel. Then Moses commanded them, saying, At the end of every 7 years, and at appointed time in the festival of Sukkot, after the year of release, when all Israel comes to appear before the Lord your God, in the place he will choose, you shall read this Torah before all Israel in their ears. Assemble the people, the men, the women, and the children, and your stranger in your cities, in order that they hear, and in order that they learn and fear the Lord, your God, and they will observe to do all the words of this Torah. And their children who did not know will hear and learn to fear the Lord your God all the days that you live on the land to which you are crossing the Jordan to possess. The end of the fifth portion. So now Moses is once again giving everybody affirmations that they are marching forward with God. They have nothing to fear. He then gives them a Torah scroll, and he instructs them that they should read this on the 7th year at the appointed location to be reminded of what's in it, and of course, to make sure that those new generations will also be informed of the education of Torah so that they will be able to live effectively and follow the ways of God. Now moving on to the 6th portion, chapter 31, verse 14. Devarim. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, your days are approaching for you to die. Call Joshua and stand in the tent of meeting, and I will inspire him. So Moses and Joshua went and stood in the tent of meeting. And the Lord appeared in the tent in a pillar of cloud. The pillar of cloud stood at the entrance to the tent. And the Lord said to Moses, Behold, you are about to lie with your forefathers, and this nation will rise up and stray after the deities of the nations of the land, into which they are coming. And they will forsake me and violate my covenant which I made with them. And my fury will rage against them on that day. And I will abandon them and hide my face from them. And they will be consumed, and many evils and troubles will befall them. And they will say on that day, Is it not because our God is no longer in my midst that these evils have befallen me? And I will hide my face on that day, because of all the evil they have committed, when they turn to other deities. And now write for yourselves this song, and teach it to the children of Israel. Place it into their mouths, in order that the song will be for me as a witness for the children of Israel. Very short conclusion to that portion there. So we once again get a quick reminder from God to Moses here in the start of the 6th portion. Joshua is called with Moses to go meet in the tent, but he tells Moses, your time's running out. You will be rejoined in lying, you'll be gathered to your forefathers. So this is where we get the bad news. Here they are to make Joshua courageous and officially pass on the torch here. And what happens? God tells Moses some really terrible news. He says, Hey, by the way, Moses, they're going to betray me, and I'm going to punish them. I know you just gave that rousing speech, but just so you know, they're going to fail, and I am going to let them suffer. So yeah, now you know. They're going to know why they're suffering, and I'm not going to give them any help. Make sure you teach them this song so that it will at least be something that they can keep for me as a witness for the children of Israel. So, in other words, this song, this final gift, this final act, will be that when they are suffering and God has turned from them, this is like their secret little chance to get God's attention once again if they just remember this song. Now moving on to the 7th portion, chapter 31 of Devarim, verse 20. When I bring them to the land which I have sworn to their forefathers to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey, they will eat and be satisfied, and live on the fat of the land. Then they will turn to the other deities and serve them, provoking me and violating my covenant. And it will be, when they will encounter many evils and troubles, this song will bear witness against them, for it will not be forgotten from the mouth of their offspring. For I know their inclination, what they are planning to do today, even before I bring them into the land which I have sworn to give them. And Moses wrote this song on that day, and taught it to the children of Israel. And he commanded Joshua the son of Nun, and said, Be strong and courageous, for you shall bring the children of Israel to the land that I have sworn to them, and I will be with you. And it was when Moses finished writing the words of this Torah in a scroll, until their very completion, that Moses commanded the Levites, who carried the ark of the covenant of the Lord, saying, Take this Torah scroll, and place it alongside the ark of the covenant of the Lord your God, and it will be there as a witness. For I know your rebellious spirit and your stubbornness. Even while I am alive with you today, you are rebelling against the Lord, and surely after my death. Assemble to me all the elders of your tribes and your officers, and I will speak these words into their ears, and I will call upon the heaven and the earth as witnesses against them. For I know that after my death you will surely become corrupted, and deviate from the way which I had commanded you. Consequently, the evil will befall you at the end of days, because you did evil in the eyes of the Lord, to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. Then Moses spoke into the ears of the entire assembly of Israel the words of the following song, until their completion. So here we have the end of the Torah portion altogether, part 7, and all of the entire portion. So once again, God continuing to explain this song, a little bit more details about the song. It is not just a reminder song. It's a song that almost condemns them because they will have to acknowledge God and thus acknowledge that they have sinned before God. They're going to be brought to this land that is so wonderful, but what's going to happen? Despite all that's happened for them, they're still going to betray. So this song will be taught to them as a witness before them, a witness to what they're doing. Same thing with the Torah scroll, which he is giving to the people, saying this will be placed with the ark. It will also be a witness. Now, a reminder for everybody, Moses says then, you all are going to be traitors. I already know it. I'm still alive, giving you commandments, and even now, you're already being rebellious and traitorous, so I know you're going to keep doing it. He doesn't disclose that he knows this because God just told him so, but I think he also could tell because I think he's learned at this point. It's happened how many times? Exactly. So nonetheless, the unfaithful people Israel will all be taught the song, and you will surely become corrupted and deviate from the way which I had commanded you. Consequently, the evil will befall you at the end of days, because you did evil in the eyes of the Lord to provoke him to anger through the work of your hands. So this is very interesting. The evil will befall you at the end of days. It's enough to be told many times that you're going to be kicked out of the land and then brought back and kicked out and brought back. But here we're seeing that there's going to be a long-term consequence at the end of days. Meaning not just now, not just when this happens, but at the very end of the story when presumably the Messiah comes and we enter that final period of all these things. There will be consequences for all of the misgivings and poor behavior of the people of Israel. So this is something to be very, very, very mindful of. That being said, he concludes this portion by teaching them the song. And they learn it. By the way, I may have forgotten to mention this in the beginning of the portion. Nitzavim-Vayelech refers to standing in the relation to the meaning of this portion's name at the very beginning, right? You are all standing this day before the Lord. So now we have once again the great conclusion to Moses' farewell address, and I fear we are near the end. It may very well be the last portion next time. Our man Moses is not long for this world. And it's always hard for me to read that, especially after everything he has done as a figure, as a leader, as an icon of the people, and one who stood by us, even as God was ready to turn his back. Moses said, don't do it. And so now Moses, for all he's done, meets his end soon. So we can look forward to that, though we don't look forward to it in the coming portions of the Torah. Until next time, this has been Shmuel Moshe. Thank you so much for listening. I once again hope that you found it educational, and as we near the end of the Torah altogether, I'd like to remind everybody, feel free to go back and listen to prior episodes for any portions you may have missed. They will always be there all together in a line, numbered 1 through 50, presumably, or 51, up until this point. So be sure to read anything you want to go back or check out anything you want to hear. Until next time, this has been Shmuel Moshe with the Weekly Parashahcast saying thank you for listening and tuning in. I hope you'll join in next time. And as always, I leave you with those precious words. Baruch Hashem.